Well, there are a lot of them. Scissors graphs, the horizontal axis is time. So over here we have 1960, 1970, and over here we have now. And the vertical axis is some good thing for kids, like spending time with kids or spending money on kids or whatever. And it's the scissors graphs we say because over time, the graph for kids coming from high school educated homes, my grandchildren and your children or grandchildren, are getting better and better. But on those same measures, kids coming from the lower third of America are getting worse and worse. That scissors graphs, if you see what I mean by a scissors graph, the gap, the opportunity gap is the growing gap. So you can see that gap in...
Why don't you give one example so
yeah,
people can see it?
Yeah, I was just about to.
Okay.
You can see it in the amount of time parents spend reading to their kids, what we call good night moon time. There's now, didn't used to be any gap at all between any social class gap in the amount of time parents spend reading to their kids. Now there's a 45-minute-a-day gap. My grandchildren get 45 minutes a day more reading time than Mary Sue did. And I don't mean that literally. I'm talking about the Mary Sue's versus my own grandchildren. And if you know about modern brain science, you know that is unbelievably important because that's the way the brain develops. The infant brain develops through verbal interaction with other adults. So there are similar graphs for the amount of money we spend on kids, similar graphs for the amount of social support they get from their community, similar graphs big graphs in terms of family stability. Now more than 90% of all kids being raised in college-educated homes are being raised in two-parent families as compared to now only about 30% of kids being raised in high school educated homes are being raised in two-parent families. I'm not making a moral point about that. I'm just saying it's harder to raise kids if you have got only one parent at home. So there are big gaps also in all these other support systems that we, from schools to churches to scouts and all of those things. You can see these, even including extracurricular activities.